early on in my life, I thought I had everything in control. I was a coach driver, driving interstate, loved my life, loved my lifestyle. I was hardly ever home, so my wife and I couldn't argue too much. I was not really a believer in God. I was always aware there might have been something. But this one particular day, I was due to do this interstate tour over to Queensland. And on the way to work to pick up the coach, I was involved in a head-on collision. And basically because of that, I'll cut this very short, but because of that I ended up with jaw reconstructions, shoulder reconstructions, neck issues and all sorts of things. But anyway, as a result of that I got onto painkillers, and very powerful painkillers, and got addicted to the drugs. And for the first time in my life I could see that I had no control over it, because all of a sudden my life had been turned upside down. And at this point in time you could understand that Deb and I were not going too well in our marriage, and in fact we'd had a big argument that day, and Deb said to me that you've got to leave your job and change your job because it's not working. And I said there's no way that's going to happen. Next thing, the accident happened. So to cut a long story short, because of the drug and the alcohol addiction, my whole character changed and I became very verbally abusive. I wasn't a nice person to be around. Nothing seemed to matter to me at that particular stage, certainly not God. And but anyway, I ended up getting this part-time job after getting a little bit more physically together. I got this job and I was still taking drugs and booze and doing some promotional work in the shopping centres. And a couple of guys came up to me this particular day and they said, oh, you know, you want to know about God and Jesus? And to be honest, I was quite rude, and I said, look, I'm not interested, guys, you know, heard it all before. And then one of them actually pointed his finger at me and looked at me and said, did you know God can prove himself to you? And so basically, as a result of that, I sort of started thinking, hang on, perhaps God is listening. You know, of course he was. So I ended up going to a meeting with these guys. And as a result of that, one of them asked me to come out and have prayer, sort of inwardly saying I'm not doing this, but outwardly I just said, yeah, okay. And everything was wrong that night. It was the 9th of October 1996. It was just such a powerful moment. And here I was, I'm standing in front of strangers that I didn't know, in a place I didn't know, the people I didn't know, and a God I didn't know. And it just doesn't seem to add up at times when I think about it. And so I didn't even know how to pray. And anyway, I got down to my knees, and these guys were sitting there with us. And anyway, there was this just welling up inside, and like I said, I didn't know what to say. And this welling up inside, and all of a sudden I was speaking in this other language that I didn't understand, and which just blew me away, because it was such a powerful moment in my life. So anyway, as that subsided, I looked up and there's these guys smiling. And at that particular time I said to them, I've just been filled with the Holy Spirit. And they said, you sure have? And I said, right, well, I want to get baptised. So no one ever told me. And at that particular time, I was shown a couple of things in the scriptures to verify what the experiences I just had, which I never knew anything about. And so anyway, that was the 9th of October 96. And that moment onward, I went home and I threw all my drugs out, threw the booze out, tipped that down the sink, and totally cleared of all that stuff. And my life changed, and straight away I started wanting to tell others about this amazing God that really can change lives. And it was just such a powerful moment for me, because it was this power that I had now and this boldness that I had that I never had before. And you know, to take rejection, time after time after time, didn't really affect me, whereas before it would have. But now I love telling people about Jesus. I love telling people how he can save their life from sin and turn their lives around and just bring them to himself. And I think, as we see time approach, I think there's an urgency for all of that. And so all I can do is just praise his name and just thank him for what he's done in my life and others.